the end of the day, their answer was no. In fact, the 38-year-old woman who admitted her own guilt received what's known as a conditional sentence. Instead of paying for her crime behind bars, she will serve a 2-year sentence in the community, meaning she will stay with her family and be allowed to roam freely. But is that fair? And are women getting a gentler ride through the court system than men are? To debate the issue, we're joined by Toronto criminal lawyer Karen McArthur. Karen, let me begin by saying that this case of Kim Tran sort of lays it all out on the table. A man is asleep, he has been a bed hopper, his angry wife takes a meat cleaver and chops off his penis. This woman ends up with a conditional sentence, which means she's going to go to an English as a second language class and learn some of the social skills that she may not have had before she did this. That cannot be justice, even to you who defend a lot of cases where no one else can have much sympathy for the perpetrators.
Justice doesn't mean slamming the doors behind everybody that's committed a criminal offense and keeping there for as long as possible. Justice means making a sentence that's appropriate for the crime committed and the offender that committed the crime. Kim Tran had very particular mitigating factors that the judge considered, including amongst them that she had 6 children and that she'd been dominated by her husband for some 18 years. And that he was taunting her about his infidelities. He stood there in front of the children and said, "Lady, I'm going to keep on doing this." Yes, she lost her cool.
Now, she lost her cool? He lost something more important than her cool.
And it was flushed down the toilet.
That's right.
Really horrific, aggravating circumstances. But the Parliament of Canada has determined in Section 718 that we send people to prison as the very last resort. You have to consider absolutely everything else.
Even the John Howard Society, that don't want anyone punished for anything, as far as I can see, are in favor of some form of deterrence. What kind of deterrent is Kim Tran feeling today when she sees that something that is going to take this man's sex life away from him forever, make urinating later in life probably impossible, when she gets language lessons? And you talked earlier a little bit about mitigating circumstances. We can never use mitigating circumstances to have a dual system. How would the feminist movement feel, for example, if a husband, whatever the provocation, sexually mutilated his wife, cut off her breasts?
We would be aghast, and we would want, but in terms of sentencing the person, regardless of the gender, you have to take a look at the background. You look at the background, and you make the sentence fit the background and the crime committed. And it's Parliament that's spoken, not the feminists. Parliament, dominated by men, they've spoken and they've said prison is the last resort for everyone, as long as the sentence is less than 2 years.
Okay, the Associate Chief Justice of BC, who gave this ridiculous sentence, in his explanation said that this person was a perfect candidate for a conditional sentence because
First-time offender,
had 6 kids, and those kids might end up split up in foster homes, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
My question would be this. If you're sitting in a rape trial and a person has admitted to a horrific rape, how would the people, the victim, the victim's family, and the feminist movement look at a defense which said, but you got to remember that Jack had a terrible childhood, and on the basis of this being the first time he's ever tortured and raped somebody, and because he had abuse when he was babysat at the daycare center, we're going to give him a conditional sentence. I know what would happen because I've seen those stories. Women would say this is an outrage, this is sexism. And when you start looking at the statistics in the justice system, women twice as likely to be given a sentence of probation than men are, twice as many men getting sentenced to jail. There is something wrong with the justice system, and this kind of horrific case makes it absolutely clear.
You're talking about deterrence. 10 times as many men as women commit crimes. You want to deter Kim Tran? We want to deter women from slicing penises off?